Guys, welcome back to Overture 1, and today we're going to get into a great topic, but before we get into that great topic, be great at subscribing, number one thing, and liking and commenting. If you're great in those three aspects, you're going to have success. That's what the gurus say, don't they?
Right.
All right, for sure. We're lit. But yeah, guys, for sure, everything that we talk about in the Overture 1 Forex trading for beginners, we want you guys to really grasp, because this is for like the beginners. This is to have the right foundation so you could go on and pass challenges a lot faster and just be so much more successful. Actually withdraw. We're not promising you any withdrawals and everything so far, but we feel like this value will help accelerate that, guys.
Right. And with that being said, like, I loved what you talked about. Like, the goal of all these videos is to lay a base layer of information that we also feel like most people in this space are not talking about, right? So in this week's video, what we're going to be going over is a very, it's one of those conversations that is a tricky one to kind of navigate. And I feel like a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on it. And we're going to be talking about the difference between pride and humility. Like, is it okay to be prideful? Should you be completely humble? Like, where do you kind of exist or coexist within this spectrum of things that are very much so opposites? I'm just gonna jump right into a couple definitions here. And I want you guys to kind of follow along with where I'm going. I have like more of the positive twists on both of these aspects, as well as the more so negative twists on these aspects. So with pride, in more of the positive light and the positive spin, it's having like self-esteem. There's versions of pride where you have a healthy self-esteem, where you have a good amount of self-respect, okay? Like you maintain your dignity. And if you literally look up pride, all of these kind of fall in like subsections of having pride. And some of those things and those synonyms are things that I feel like are important for you to have within like the ecosystem of your head, right? Like you need self-respect, you need to maintain dignity, or else like you're gonna have a very hard time existing with other people, and you face the possibility of like being walked on and stuff like that, so on and so forth, right? Where it gets more into like the negative aspects of things, and I feel like obviously I'm gonna go in a little bit of a different tangent. I feel like this is a lot of like what biblical pride is talking about, which is like very much like an excess or a very unhealthy level of like how important I am, or how great I am, or you have this very elevated state of accomplishments, skills, possessions, whatever they are, and you believe that you're living in distortion. Like what you actually believe is far more elevated than what's actually happening, when in reality you're probably around here, but you view yourself all the way up here, right? And that's where pride can turn into like a very, very negative. And I feel like it's going to be a huge hindrance for you in trading. And then jumping more into the humility conversation, I feel like a lot of the very, very beneficial aspects of being humble, one of the definitions is literally eliminating the over excessive pride, right? It's literally just what they call being humble. And it's just the exact opposite of that definition that I just told you guys. Eliminate all of those things, the overvaluing, the way more elevated view of things and accomplishments and stuff like that, as opposed to what they really are, okay? And then you kind of get into this deeper dive into like, there's people who take the word humble and humility, and they get it to a point where they almost belittle themselves, right? And they put themselves so far below what they actually are, who they truly are, and who they're truly called to be, that I feel like they damage things that are very healthy for you, like self-respect and having self-confidence and like walking in dignity.
To give you guys an example of what all that basically looks like in trading, it's basically, oh, I'm hot, you know, I'm on like 4 or 5 winning trades in a row, and I'm unbeatable. Until obviously you've been trading a while now, that when you get the next one, it hits you out. And if you don't have good risk management, it smacks you back into the humility mode of you have to learn. But ultimately, that's what we want to help you avoid.
Right.
And all of these prideful, all of these humility aspects that we are talking about, they all stem from how you view yourself. So self-image, right? So self-image is defined of how a person evaluates themselves at the end of the day. You ever heard when people say, oh, I'm just a clumsy individual, that's just me? Well, that's basically what you're identifying as. I'm just clumsy. I will always forever be clumsy. Jared said this in a past video. obviously there's a great way to counteract that. And like when something happens to you, be like, man, that's not like me. Oh, that's not like me to miss the gym and everything so far.
Right.
Well, I'll just go in the afternoon, or I'll go the next day and everything so far. That's literally accepting responsibility and knowing that's not the type of self-image that you want to view yourself as. And positive self-image can set up so much reassuring, beneficial patterns, and a negative self-image could set up troubling patterns. It could just set up so much habits that could put you in a spiral downwards and a spiral upwards.
The big point that I want to drive home with these is that I feel like pride and humility, obviously, so they're dichotomies, they're completely different. And it's so bizarre because it's one of those situations where I feel like to have and to be effective as a person, you have to coexist within the two and kind of walk this beautiful line in between them, where you maintain a lot of the healthy things of pride, because pride is put in such a negative light. And there are a lot of great examples of people who are very overly prideful that give it this term, like this notion that it's negative, which is true, because people give a very, very, how's the way that I want to word this? There's a lot of people who kind of prove the stigma that like being prideful is like it's overly arrogant, and they prove that point to be true. But there's a lot of healthy things that on this half of the line, when you're in the pride category, the healthy things like having respect for yourself and, you know, being confident, whatever the case is, like you need to maintain them at the same time as you have the very healthy things about being humble, which is like you view everybody as equals, right? You don't think people are inferior to you. You're very coachable. You're very willing to learn. Like you actively seek mentorship, right? And like you have all of these things that kind of exist together, even though a lot of people who see things very black and white, they can't really understand it has to be one or the other. It's not true. It's like this beautiful coexistence of two things that seem like they're not related at all.
That's really good, man. And I want to put 3 practical steps in your guys' head and for you to actually take action on, so you could have healthy doses of pride and humility and time together to, like how Jared said, to walk that fine line. So the first one is going to be start off by acknowledging that there's someone always better out there than you. Ultimately, there's still someone out there that has a better relationship, has more money, ultimately just has better results that you actually want to attain. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can admit that and be like, all right, bet, I'm going to stay in a teachable and coachable state. And if I have the opportunity to learn from them, I will get everything that I can to learn with them, and I'll roll with it, because I know there's someone always better out there, and I won't always be the best at the end of the day, because there's always somebody with more experience, more time, just more wisdom in the game. And the second one that I want to say is, when you do a positive manner, when you are on a hot streak in trading, when you are having those results, being consistently profitable and everything so far, you could acknowledge that and say, wow, man, I'm doing a really good job. This is awesome. I'm going to keep it up. You're rewarding yourself, but also you come back with the element of, all right, I still can do better. I still can grow. I still can learn. I can still learn how to invest in a better manner, in a more safer manner, whatever the case is for you. That's reestablishing the humility factor of it. You're hot right now, and we can admit that you have a good amount of pride, but you're sprinkling with a dose of humility, so the pot doesn't boil over. You want to keep the pot, like the pot of water, from boiling over. So that's what I still have better things to do. There's somebody out there that still has the results that I want, and I'm gonna go learn from them. And the third thing is very simple, guys. Have grace for yourself. We're all humans. We all make mistakes. You know, sometimes we can say things that we don't mean, but you know what? That's all right, guys. Ultimately, we're never gonna be perfect. We're gonna slip up time to time, but it serves you to adopt a mindset to be able to look at everything, good or bad, with a learning experience, with the third eye objective. You ever seen like Call of Duty when like it goes out to like the gunman right here, because you could see the gun and everything so far? Yeah, that's basically a third party objective. And look at everything like, okay, what can I change there? What could I have said? I actually could have just been a little bit more quiet, and that would have been resolved. And that's if I had enough humility, that problem would have not arisen. So yeah, guys, with that being said, those are the 3 practical steps that you could take away and walk that fine line with pride and humility, guys. Guys, if you understand this, If you have any questions on this, leave a comment below. See what we could answer for you and what more topics that you guys would want to discuss in the future for beginner traders, guys. We love you. Have a great day. Peace from Overture One.